Hello, this is BlueStar, Defender of Equestria, and this is my next Focus On video. Is there an Equestrian Military? Part 2. Before I get started, however, I will be referencing the Journal of the Two Sisters. So if you haven't had a chance to read it yet, you probably should not watch this video until you do. Oh dear, I do resist the idea of there being an Equestrian military, because I'd like to think that Equestria has been spared the horrific wars that have plagued human history. But however, I think in a way there is an Equestrian military. The interesting thing is that you already know them. On the very last page of the journal of, well, the two sisters, before the Friendship is Magic part, that basically on the last page there's this written by Celestia. As princesses of Equestria, we will guide and protect all the ponies in the land. This made me start thinking, wait a minute. They are the Equestrian military. Surprised? I was. At least at first. But when you think about it, it actually makes sense. But at the same time, it's actually quite surprising. Because at the beginning of the show, you wouldn't think a princess would be the person or the pony that's going to go off and fight. But as we've seen throughout the show, whenever there's been a serious threat, everything from Nightmare Moon to King Sombra to Discord, it's always been the princesses who've gone out and dealt with it. They didn't send someone like the Royal Guard to go take care of it. They didn't order an army to go fight them. They went out and fought themselves. And that's the thing that I find the most interesting and the most, oh my gosh, it's like, this has been part of their job since the very beginning, and we had no idea. And this is why I have a lot of respect for the princesses, because it's easy to go order someone else to go out and fight. It's quite a different thing to go out and fight yourself, and that's just so cool. I mean, I do love the fact that the princesses are the guides, the supervising adults, the mentors, and all those things to not only the main six, but in theory the whole of Equestria. And I think that's pretty cool. But I think it's even cooler that they also are the Equestrian military. They will stand and fight for all their ponies because they love them and everything. This is certainly something that a lot of soldiers could appreciate. It's when their leaders come and even just simply visit them on the front lines, they massively appreciate that. And I could see that being a big reason why a lot of ponies would want to rally behind the princesses and go and stand and fight for Equestria. That's pretty cool. I love that. This is in a way almost a revelation to me. To use a military real-world example, they're like the aircraft carrier. They're basically the most powerful force in the fleet. And the interesting thing is that carriers almost never go out by themselves. They usually go out with at least one kind of support or defense ship, simply because they are too valuable of a resource to just simply let them go off on their own. And even a carrier can't fight the whole world by itself. Even a carrier needs help from time to time. And that's kind of cool to me, because that's where the Royal Guard came in. When Luna was banished to the moon, Celestia was on her own, and she simply couldn't handle this all by herself. She needed help, so she formed what would become the Royal Guard. This basically makes the Royal Guard not the primary fighting force. They're not the Equestrian military. They're there just simply to support and defend and protect the princesses. And I think that's really the best example of how I feel that the princesses and the Royal Guard fit together. That the princesses, they're going to go off and deal with it, and the Royal Guard are going to be right beside them, helping them, supporting them, and doing everything they can to protect them. And I just think that's so awesome and just so cool, and I would definitely want to protect princesses like the Princesses of Equestria, because they are so awesome and they're cool and everything, and they would definitely be awesome to fight alongside them. I do have to admit that I was very hard on the Season 4 finale for the big fight at the end, because I thought this was a classic Hollywood thing. It's like, oh, they're putting in this fight for the sake of putting in this fight. But it's clear to me now that that was very wrong, and for a very simple reason, that this is almost a rite of passage for Twilight. It's part of every princess's role to be a guide, but also to be a protector, to go and stand and fight for Equestria. So Twilight almost has to have a fight like this with an enemy like Tyrek. She has to stand and fight for Equestria to prove that she's a full princess, and I'm glad that Twilight does show that she's capable of doing both. I do have to say it was kind of scary at first because I didn't know that this side of Twilight existed at all. It's kind of, oh dear. Just like how Twilight probably felt when she looked at Celestia during the whole thing with Nightmare Moon, how strong she can be. I think Twilight didn't even know that this side of Celestia existed, and to see it being brought to bear was probably kind of scary to her. But I'm glad that Twilight and Celestia do have these sides. And I'm glad that the princesses are more than just, oh, we sit on our thrones, we order people around, and, you know, we get treated like royalty. No, that's not our role. That's not their job. Their job is to guide these ponies down their path, and if need be, to go out and fight and put themselves in the line of fire and potentially get hurt and maybe even killed in defense of Equestria. That is pretty awesome, and that is definitely a reason why I would want to stand and fight alongside them. So if you want to take Equestria, you have to go through us first. And you better watch out, because we've got not just 1, but 4 princesses on our side. So that is the end of my video on Is There an Equestrian Military? Part 2. This is Blue Star. Stay strong and pony on. Blue Star out.